The Lost Space Colony 9, Bridging Horizons, The Chronicles of Unity. Prologue, A New Dawn. In the aftermath of a grueling war and a miraculous escape through a dimensional portal, humans and Prometheans found themselves in a fresh, unexplored universe. Here, they were not just survivors but pioneers tasked with forging a new civilization. The Promethean technology that once wrought havoc on Earth was now combined with human ingenuity to create something unprecedented. As they stood on the brink of a new era, both races were motivated by a common goal: to avoid the mistakes of their pasts and build a future that honored both their heritages. The vastness of the new universe stretched out before them, a sprawling canvas of dark voids punctuated by the shimmering lights of distant stars and nebulae. The air, free from the taint of war, hummed with the promise of peace and prosperity. It was a stark contrast to the battered landscapes of Earth, where the remnants of the last great battles lay scattered across continents that had once teemed with diverse cultures and bustling cities. In those first days, as they surveyed the untouched expanse around them, the leaders of both races convened aboard the flagship of the unified fleet, the Harmony. This ship, a marvel of engineering, combined the sleek, angular design characteristic of Promethean architecture with the more robust, industrial aesthetics favored by humans. It was a symbol of their newfound unity, a physical manifestation of their intertwined fates. Among the leaders was Captain Elena Mirov, a decorated human commander known for her decisive actions during the war's most desperate hours. Beside her stood Thalrex, a Promethean general whose tactical genius had once made him a formidable foe but now made him an invaluable ally. Together, with a council of experts from both races, they began to plan the construction of their first settlement. "We need to focus on sustainability," Elena asserted, her eyes scanning the holographic display of the planet they orbited. "Whatever we build must promote a balance between our technologies and the natural environment of this place." Thalrex nodded, his luminous eyes reflecting the starlight streaming through the observation deck's panoramic windows. "Agreed. The mistakes of our past were born from a disregard for the ecosystems we dominated. Here, we must live as part of the environment, not conquerors of it." The planet, designated as New Eden by the Council, offered a variety of biomes ranging from lush, verdant forests to sprawling deserts and deep oceans. It was larger than Earth, with gravity slightly lower, which would benefit the heavy, metallic bodies of the Prometheans as well as humans' adaptability. As they set about their monumental task, teams of scientists from both races worked together to assess the planet's resources. They conducted detailed surveys, collecting data on soil composition, water sources, and atmospheric conditions. These teams were often accompanied by security details, as the memory of conflict was still fresh, and trust, while growing, remained fragile. Simultaneously, cultural exchange workshops became a staple of daily life among the colonists. Humans learned the intricate nuances of Promethean communication, which involved subtle changes in the color and brightness of their skin. Prometheans, in turn, were introduced to human expressions, music, and art, finding particular fascination with the concept of humor, which had been alien to their more structured minds. In these early days, a significant challenge arose in the form of resource allocation. Both races had different needs that often required bespoke solutions. Water, for instance, was not as critical for Prometheans, who relied on a mixture of energy-absorbing panels and refined minerals, but it was essential for human life. To address these challenges, a joint committee was formed, chaired by a human environmental scientist, Dr. Lisa Nguyen, and her Promethean counterpart, Zel Naga, a specialist in synthetic ecosystems. Their task was to develop a series of protocols that would ensure the fair distribution of resources while respecting the ecological balance of New Eden. "Our first project will be the Hydro-Unity facility," announced Dr. Nguyen during one of the committee's meetings. "This plant will not only purify water for human use but also act as an energy generator for Promethean technologies. It's a symbol of our cooperative efforts." As the facility neared completion, it stood as a testament to the possibilities of peace and mutual benefit. It utilized human-designed filtration systems alongside Promethean energy converters, creating a closed-loop system that mimicked the natural water cycle of the planet. Months turned into years, and New Eden began to flourish. Cities sprang up, each designed with wide, open spaces to accommodate the large frames of the Prometheans and the diverse activities of humans. These cities were surrounded by swathes of natural landscape, left untouched to preserve the planet's biodiversity. However, as the civilization grew, so did the complexities of their society. Differences in life philosophy, governance preferences, and even daily routines led to tensions that tested the fragile peace. A young human journalist, Kara Jensen, began documenting these challenges, sharing stories of collaboration but also of conflict, through her widely viewed broadcasts. "The test of our unity is not whether we can avoid conflict," she said in one of her segments, "but whether we can resolve it in a way that respects our shared goals and diverse heritage." As Kara spoke, her words broadcasted across New Eden, the leaders of the human and Promethean communities watched. They knew that the true foundation of their unity would not just be the cities they built or the technologies they developed, but the peace they nurtured and the respect they maintained for each other. With each challenge they faced, from logistical disagreements to cultural misunderstandings, the people of New Eden learned and grew. They were no longer just survivors of a war, they were pioneers of a new way of living, together, in a universe that offered not just a new home, but a new beginning. Chapter 1: Foundations of Unity. James Mirov stood at the edge of the designated construction site, his gaze sweeping over the vast expanse that would soon become Unity. As a seasoned city planner, he had been instrumental in numerous projects back on Earth, but none bore the gravity of this undertaking. Here, on a newly discovered planet in a distant universe, James was tasked with creating something historic: Unity, the first joint human-Promethean city. It was not just a city, it was a symbol of a new beginning, a physical manifestation of peace and cooperation between two races that had once viewed each other through the sights of their weapons. The early morning air was crisp, filled with a sense of potential that invigorated James as he reviewed the blueprints once again. These were not ordinary blueprints, they were a mesh of human architectural designs interwoven with Promethean technological concepts. The integration of such diverse technological paradigms was a challenge that James had initially found daunting. Promethean technology operated on principles that often seemed to defy the known laws of physics. Their structures could manipulate gravitational fields, create energy shields, and even adjust to environmental conditions autonomously. Conversely, human architecture, while flexible and innovative, prioritized aesthetics, environmental integration, and functionality. The challenge was to meld these approaches into a cohesive whole. James's solution was to design modular structures that could be adapted according to need and function while incorporating Promethean technology for energy efficiency and adaptability to the planet's climate. One of the most significant challenges was the central hub, designed to be the heart of Unity. This structure needed to house the administrative offices, residential quarters for both humans and Prometheans, and communal spaces where cultural exchanges could occur. The hub's design was a dome-like structure, inspired by the Promethean affinity for spherical shapes, blended with the human architectural preference for large, open spaces that invited natural light and interaction. James collaborated closely with Thalrex, his Promethean counterpart, whose understanding of Promethean engineering was invaluable. Together, they worked through numerous simulations, often running into heated debates about the feasibility of certain designs. Thalrex, with his methodical and often rigid approach to construction, frequently clashed with James's more intuitive and aesthetics-driven style. However, through these discussions, a mutual respect developed. James learned to appreciate the efficiency and precision of Promethean engineering, while Thalrex grew to understand the human need for beauty and comfort in architectural spaces. This collaboration led to innovative solutions like the Energy Plaza, a sprawling area within the central hub that utilized a Promethean energy conversion technology, which powered the city while serving as a serene public space with water features and greenery, beloved by human aesthetics. As construction commenced, James faced the logistical nightmare of coordinating human and Promethean construction crews. The Prometheans, with their robust frames and strength, were instrumental in laying the heavy foundations and installing the large structural components. The humans, more dexterous and detail-oriented, excelled in the fine-tuning of the living spaces and the installation of life support systems necessary for human inhabitants. Cultural integration went beyond mere architecture. The city's public spaces were designed to cater to the social habits of both species. For humans, cafes, parks, and sports facilities were essential. For Prometheans, who did not require food in the traditional sense, energy recharge stations and communal data exchange centers were more pertinent. Designing these spaces to encourage interaction rather than segregation was a delicate balance, and every detail, from bench heights to the ambient temperature, needed to be carefully considered to accommodate the physical and cultural differences of both races. One particular breakthrough in cultural bridging came in the form of the Unity Gardens. This vast area was a patchwork of earth flora and Promethean biosculptures that functioned both as art and as an ecological system. It was here that James envisioned the true spirit of unity would come to life, a place where a child could see the beauty of both worlds merged into a harmonious existence. As the city slowly rose from the ground, challenges continued to emerge. Resource management was a constant issue, with the need to import certain materials from Earth while mining and refining local resources. James also had to navigate the complexities of interspecies politics, as various human and Promethean groups pushed for their interests and visions for the city. Despite these hurdles, unity began to take shape, reflecting the combined efforts and shared visions of its diverse builders. Watching the city grow, James felt a profound sense of accomplishment and hope. Here, in this melding of metal and mortar, circuitry and concrete, a new chapter for humanity and Prometheans was being written, one of peace, cooperation, and shared destiny. The completion of unity would not be the end of the journey, it would be just the beginning. As the city planner, James knew that the true test would come not just from building the city but from living in it, from turning the structures and systems into a home. And as he looked out over the construction site, with the sun dipping below the horizon, he felt ready to meet these challenges head-on, for in every sunset lay the promise of a new dawn. Chapter 2: The Seeds of New Eden. Lor'ak, a prominent Promethean geneticist, surveyed the barren landscapes of New Eden with a critical eye, understanding the monumental task ahead of her. As the leader of the terraforming project, she was responsible for transforming these sterile plains into thriving ecosystems that would support both Promethean and human biologies. This task was not only a scientific challenge but an ethical puzzle, as the creation of new life forms posed significant philosophical and ecological questions. Lor'ak's lab, a sprawling complex filled with the latest in biotechnological equipment, was abuzz with activity. Teams of scientists, both human and Promethean, worked diligently, examining soil samples, simulating weather patterns, and genetically engineering plant species that could survive in the planet's unique environment. The goal was to develop flora that could contribute to the atmosphere's oxygen levels while thriving on the mineral-rich but organic-poor soils of New Eden. The geneticist was well aware of the power she wielded. The ability to create life was a godlike attribute, but it came with immense responsibility. Each genetic sequence she altered, every synthetic enzyme she introduced, had to be meticulously calculated to avoid unforeseen repercussions. The invasive species disasters from Earth's history were a constant reminder of what could go wrong. Lor'ak's most ambitious project was the creation of the Phosynth Trees, large flora capable of performing photosynthesis while also serving as energy collectors for Promethean technology. These trees were engineered to have broad, metallic leaves which could absorb sunlight and convert it not just into glucose but also into electrical energy. This dual function was revolutionary, as it would provide both a food source for humans and an energy source for Prometheans, effectively integrating the needs of both species into one ecological solution. However, the creation of such life forms was fraught with ethical considerations. Lor'ak convened a panel of ethicists, ecologists, and biologists from both races to discuss the implications of introducing these engineered species into the environment. Debates ensued, with some arguing that they were playing with nature in ways that could lead to catastrophe, while others posited that such innovations were necessary for the survival and prosperity of their new society. Despite the debates, the trial phases of the Phosynth Trees showed promising results. The first prototypes were planted in controlled environments, where they were monitored for their impact on the local ecology and their functional efficacy. Initial data was encouraging. The trees not only survived but thrived, contributing to a significant increase in local oxygen levels and providing a steady supply of electrical power. Emboldened by this success, Lor'ak expanded her efforts, introducing bioengineered algae into the oceans of New Eden. These algae were designed to be highly efficient at carbon sequestration, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and converting it into oxygen. Furthermore, they served as a foundation for the aquatic food chain, designed to support both native marine life and imported Earth species. Yet, as the terraforming progressed, unexpected challenges arose. Some of the bioengineered plants began exhibiting unforeseen behaviors, such as overly rapid growth rates that threatened to outcompete native species, or unusual biochemical outputs that slightly altered atmospheric compositions. Each anomaly had to be addressed swiftly, requiring Lor'ak to make tough decisions about whether to modify, quarantine, or destroy entire cohorts of her creations. Through these trials, Lor'ak remained deeply introspective about her role and the implications of her work. She often walked through the new forests of Phosynth trees, touching their cool, metallic leaves, and pondering the ethics of her creations. Was she creating a balanced ecosystem, or was she crafting an artificial nature that could one day spin out of control? Despite these concerns, the successes of the terraforming project began to draw widespread attention across Unity. Schools organized trips to Lor'ak's labs and the surrounding ecosystems, and media outlets broadcasted stories celebrating the rejuvenation of New Eden. The public, both human and Promethean, was fascinated and largely supportive of the efforts to turn a once barren world into a lush, habitable haven. Lor'ak knew that the road ahead was long and fraught with complexity. Each success was balanced by new challenges, and each decision carried weight. Yet, she felt a profound connection to New Eden, a sense of purpose and hope. She was not just altering a planet, she was creating a future where two races could find a common home. This was her legacy, a living testament to the power of science guided by conscientious leadership and a deep commitment to coexistence. Chapter 3, Echoes of the Past. Dr. Anna Zhao, along with her Promethean counterpart, Srel, stood at the threshold of a newly uncovered archaeological site. The ruins, hidden beneath the dense foliage of New Eden's northern hemisphere, hinted at a civilization that had once thrived on this alien planet. As the lead archaeologists, Anna and Srel were tasked with uncovering the secrets held within these ancient structures and deciphering the stories of those who had walked these paths before them. The excavation site was a sprawl of stone structures, partially reclaimed by nature. Intricate carvings on the stone surfaces suggested a society that was both artistically advanced and deeply spiritual. The architecture was unlike anything from Earth or from the historical records of Promethea, featuring geometric patterns that seemed to align with celestial events, and texts written in an unknown script that shimmered with a metallic sheen under the light of New Eden's twin suns. As they delved deeper into the ruins, the team employed a combination of human and Promethean technologies. Srel introduced a subsurface resonance scanner, a device that could create detailed holographic projections of underground structures, revealing the full extent of the city without the need for invasive digging. Meanwhile, Anna used her expertise in xenolinguistics to begin deciphering the mysterious scripts, with the help of AI algorithms designed to analyze and translate unknown languages. The more they discovered, the more they realized that this ancient civilization had faced challenges similar to their own. Evidence of climate change, resource depletion, and even interspecies conflict began to emerge from the ruins. One of the most striking finds was a public square, surrounded by statues of what appeared to be leaders or gods, half human and half another creature, perhaps symbolic of a union or merger much like the one between humans and Prometheans. In one of the partially intact buildings, which they believed to be a library or repository of knowledge, Anna and Srel discovered a series of frescoes depicting a story of downfall and redemption. These images showed a society that had reached the brink of destruction, only to radically shift its approach to resource management and social structure, thus salvaging and renewing their world. The parallels to their own history were not lost on the team. Here was a clear warning and a beacon of hope encapsulated in stone and pigment. As the days turned into weeks, the excavation site became a place of pilgrimage for many residents of Unity. The historical implications of the findings spurred debates and discussions within academic and public circles, raising questions about the sustainability of their own society. Anna and Srel organized symposiums where they shared their findings and facilitated discussions on how these ancient lessons could be applied to modern governance, environmental policies, and social integration. Amidst their scholarly pursuits, a particularly enigmatic artifact was unearthed, a large disk made of an unknown metal-like material, covered in the same shimmering script found throughout the site. Initial studies suggested that it was a key or a map, possibly pointing to other locations or even other worlds. The excitement about this discovery brought additional funding and support from both the human and Promethean governments, eager to understand more about the universe they now inhabited. This artifact became a central piece in the unfolding narrative of the ancient civilization. As Anna, Srel, and their team worked to decode its secrets, they began to see it not just as a piece of history but as a guide for their future. Each symbol, each line on the disk, seemed to resonate with their own experiences of integration, conflict, and cooperation. The discovery of the ancient ruins and the lessons they held transformed the academic and cultural landscape of New Eden. What began as a routine excavation had uncovered a narrative so relevant to their current lives that it felt almost predestined. For Anna and Srel, the work at the site was more than just scientific inquiry. It was a quest for understanding of their past, their present, and the future they were building together. As they continued to work side by side, the bond between the human and Promethean researchers grew stronger, a microcosm of the society they hoped to build. In the echoes of the past, they found the seeds of their future, a future where two races could learn not only to coexist but to thrive together, informed by the wisdom of a civilization that had once faced the same daunting challenges. Chapter 4: The Harmonic Protocol. Thomas Grell, a seasoned diplomat from Earth, and Nexel, his Promethean counterpart, found themselves at the heart of a crucial negotiation. As the settlements on New Eden expanded, resources that were once abundant began to show signs of strain, and cultural differences became more pronounced. The Harmonic Protocol was proposed as a means to address these growing tensions and to lay down a structured framework for coexistence and cooperation. The negotiation room was a study in contrast. One half was styled with the sleek, metallic aesthetics favored by the Prometheans, sharp angles and a minimalist approach that spoke of efficiency and logic. The other half bore the warmer, more organic touch characteristic of human design, with wooden panels and soft lighting that created a sense of comfort and openness. This physical representation of their joint efforts was meant to foster a spirit of partnership, but the atmosphere within the room was charged with a palpable tension. Thomas and Nexel sat across from each other, a holographic display of the treaty's clauses hovering between them. Each clause was a subject of intense discussion, as both sides sought to protect their interests while fostering a spirit of unity. Thomas, with his background in international law on Earth, pushed for clauses that emphasized human rights and individual freedoms, principles deeply ingrained in human political philosophy. Nexel, on the other hand, advocated for a more collective approach, focusing on the societal benefits and the greater good, a reflection of Promethean communal values. The discussions often veered into debates about resource allocation, specifically, water and energy. Humans required a significant amount of water for their daily needs, a resource that was not as critical for Prometheans, who primarily relied on energy sources. Nexel proposed a shared energy grid that could also process and recycle water, ensuring that no single settlement could monopolize these vital resources. However, Thomas was wary of creating dependencies that could be exploited in future conflicts. Another contentious issue was the expansion of territorial boundaries. Prometheans, with their advanced surveying technologies, were capable of rapid expansion, while humans preferred a more gradual and environmentally integrated approach. Thomas suggested a joint council to oversee any new expansion, ensuring that both races had equal input and that environmental impact assessments were mandatory. Cultural integration, a less tangible but equally important issue, also took center stage. Nexel expressed concerns over the preservation of Promethean cultural heritage, which he felt was being overshadowed by the more dominant human cultural exports. Thomas acknowledged this and proposed cultural exchange programs that would include language courses, shared public holidays, and collaborative art projects to foster a deeper understanding and appreciation of Promethean culture among human settlers. As the negotiations stretched into hours, then days, the initial stiffness gave way to a cautious respect. Both Thomas and Nexel began to appreciate the complexities each side faced and recognized that their survival and prosperity were intricately linked. Gradually, the Harmonic Protocol began to take shape, a document that was not just a set of rules to live by, but a testament to their ability to overcome differences. By the time they reached an agreement on the final clause, the atmosphere in the room had shifted. There was a sense of accomplishment, a feeling that they had not only drafted a treaty but had also laid down the foundations for a lasting peace. The Harmonic Protocol was set to be signed in a ceremony attended by leaders of both races, symbolizing a new chapter in human-Promethean relations. The completion of the Harmonic Protocol marked not the end, but the beginning of a continuous process of negotiation and adjustment. Thomas and Nexel knew that the true test of their diplomacy would be how the terms of the treaty were implemented and adapted to future challenges. However, as they stepped out of the negotiation room, there was a mutual feeling of cautious optimism. In their collaborative effort, they had sown the seeds of a genuine partnership, one that held the promise of transforming a fragile truce into a robust and dynamic alliance. Chapter 5: Beyond the Horizon. Kai, with his unique heritage of both human and Promethean lineage, was naturally equipped with a blend of traits from both races. His human side gifted him with boundless curiosity and empathy, while his Promethean heritage endowed him with enhanced cognitive abilities and resilience. As a child of Unity, the first city born from the cooperation between humans and Prometheans, Kai embodied the potential and promise of his community. Now, as a young explorer, Kai felt a deep desire to contribute to the legacy of his people by leading an expedition into the uncharted territories that lay beyond the maps of New Eden. Assembling a diverse team of explorers, scientists, and diplomats, Kai set out to navigate the untamed wilderness that stretched beyond the known borders of Unity. Their journey took them through lush forests teeming with bioluminescent flora and across vast plains where the winds whispered secrets of the ancient world. After weeks of travel, the team reached a region marked by towering crystalline structures that were neither entirely natural nor clearly artificial. It was here, in this surreal landscape, that they encountered the Yari, a sentient alien species whose appearance was as enigmatic as their surroundings. The Yari were beings of light and sound, communicating through harmonious tones and color changes rather than spoken words or gestures. Their society seemed deeply connected to the environment, and they approached Kai and his team with cautious curiosity. The moment of first contact was delicate, fraught with the potential for misunderstanding. Kai felt the weight of his role acutely. Every decision could set the tone for future interactions, not just with the Yari but potentially with other civilizations they might encounter. He drew on the diplomatic principles he had learned from his parents and the broader cultural integration taught in Unity. Showing respect for the Yari space and signals of communication, Kai slowly initiated contact by mirroring their peaceful demeanor and using simple light devices to mimic their communication method. As the interactions progressed, Kai learned that the Yari were caretakers of the land, believing themselves to be descendants of the stars tasked with protecting the balance of their world. Their philosophy resonated with Kai, echoing the teachings of balance and respect for nature he had grown up with. The challenges of communicating and understanding a wholly different civilization tested Kai's identity and the ideals he had inherited from both his cultures. He found himself reflecting on what it truly meant to be a child of two worlds, striving to bridge them. The success of these initial interactions with the Yari marked a significant milestone in the expedition. Kai's effective navigation of the complexities of first contact not only proved his capability as a leader but also set a promising precedent for how his generation would handle the challenges of living in a universe full of unknowns. This experience deepened his appreciation for his heritage and reinforced his commitment to carrying forward the legacy of unity and exploration. With a sense of accomplishment and newfound wisdom, Kai and his team documented their findings and prepared for the journey back to Unity. They returned not just with data and samples but with stories of a successful first contact, ready to share their experiences and insights, contributing to the ever-evolving narrative of their burgeoning society. This expedition was but the first of many, as Kai looked beyond the horizon, ready to explore and embrace whatever mysteries the universe held. Chapter 6: Shadows of Doubt. Lieutenant Mara Jennings, head of security for the burgeoning city of Unity, was well versed in handling the myriad challenges that came with safeguarding a diverse population. However, as Unity expanded, its growing pains manifested not just in logistical issues but also in ideological conflicts. Not everyone was pleased with the new direction the city was taking, and Mara found herself at the heart of a brewing storm that threatened to undo the fragile peace they had worked so hard to achieve. The first hint of trouble came in the form of graffiti painted in the dead of night on the walls of the city's new assembly hall, a place meant to symbolize the unity between humans and Prometheans. The messages were a mix of human and Promethean languages, and they spoke of dissent and dissatisfaction. "Return to the roots," one said, while another warned, "the great blending dilutes us all." Mara took these messages seriously. They were not just vandalism but a symptom of deeper unrest. As she delved deeper into her investigation, Mara discovered that these acts of vandalism were linked to a more sinister plot. Informants and surveillance footage led her to a clandestine group comprising members from both races who were united not by a vision of peace but by a shared skepticism towards the integration of their societies. This group, calling themselves the Purists, believed that each race should maintain its distinct identity and traditions, fearing that their unique cultures were being lost in the blend. Mara's investigation revealed that the Purists were planning a large-scale demonstration that could easily turn violent. They had been secretly amassing resources and rallying supporters from the outskirts of Unity, where the integration was less pronounced and old prejudices still festered. The more Mara uncovered, the more she realized that the threat was imminent. She needed to act swiftly to prevent any harm to the city and its inhabitants. Navigating the dark corners of both societies, Mara engaged with community leaders, local law enforcement, and even former radicals who had since embraced the ideals of unity. She listened to their concerns and fears, understanding that addressing the root causes of the unrest was as important as thwarting the immediate threat. Her approach was a blend of tact and transparency, aiming to reassure the city's residents that their voices were heard and valued. As the day of the planned demonstration approached, Mara coordinated a citywide security operation that was more about show than force. She wanted the Purists to know they were surrounded not by enemies but by a community standing together against division. At her urging, city officials organized a simultaneous event promoting cultural heritage, where humans and Prometheans could celebrate their traditions alongside each other, demonstrating that preservation of culture was compatible with integration. The demonstration turned out to be less violent than anticipated, with only a few minor skirmishes breaking out. Mara's strategy of openness and community engagement paid off, as many Purists felt heard and chose dialogue over destruction. However, the tensions did not disappear overnight. Mara knew that her work was just beginning. The success of her operation had brought Unity some peace, but the underlying issues needed continuous and careful attention. In the aftermath, Mara organized forums and workshops focused on cultural preservation within an integrated society. She worked closely with educators, historians, and cultural leaders to ensure that both human and Promethean heritages were respected and celebrated. Her efforts to bridge the gap between security and community relations started to reshape perceptions, slowly mending the fabric of Unity. As she patrolled the streets of Unity, Mara felt a cautious optimism. The city was still a work in progress, a grand experiment in coexistence. But each day brought small victories, each challenge a chance to strengthen the bonds between its citizens. In the shadows of doubt, she saw not just obstacles but opportunities to prove that Unity could be more than a name, it could be a reality. Chapter 7: The Threads of Fate. Eli, an artist renowned for his innovative fusion of human and Promethean artistic techniques, had become an emblematic figure in Unity's cultural renaissance. His studio, a vivid mosaic of light and shadow, was a place where traditional human brush strokes merged seamlessly with the fluid, dynamic forms characteristic of Promethean digital artistry. His artworks were not just visually striking, they embodied the essence of unity, the blending of two distinct cultures into something wholly new and breathtaking. As Eli prepared for his latest gallery exhibition, titled Convergence, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point. Each piece he created was a dialogue between the two cultures, sometimes harmonious, other times discordant. He used canvases that responded to touch with Promethean technology, allowing colors to shift and patterns to evolve in real time, while incorporating classical human techniques like oil painting or watercolors to ground the works in a tangible reality. The public reception to his work was overwhelmingly positive, with many viewing his exhibitions as a testament to the potential of integration. Critics praised his ability to weave together elements from both worlds, creating a visual lexicon that could be appreciated by all. Yet, not all the feedback was favorable. Some traditionalists from both sides viewed his approach as a dilution of pure artistic forms, arguing that by merging techniques, Eli was losing the essence of what made each culture's art unique. The controversy reached a peak when Eli unveiled his most ambitious piece yet at the opening of Convergence. The artwork, a large interactive installation, allowed viewers to input their own cultural symbols into the piece, which would then be assimilated and transformed by an AI into a new, hybrid form. This piece, meant to be a celebration of cultural synthesis, instead sparked heated debates among the audience. Some praised it as a masterpiece of interactive art, a truly living piece that evolved with its viewers' input. Others saw it as an erasure, a machine making arbitrary decisions on what aspects of culture were worth preserving. Amidst this whirlwind of acclaim and criticism, Eli found himself pondering the deeper impact of his work. He began organizing community workshops at his studio, inviting people from all backgrounds to learn about both human and Promethean art techniques. These workshops became spaces for open dialogue, where participants shared stories about their heritage and discussed the role of art in society. Through these interactions, Eli realized that his work had a power he had not fully appreciated, the power to not only represent cultural integration but to actively facilitate it. His studio became a microcosm of unity, a place where individuals could confront and reconcile their biases and misconceptions about each other's cultures. Eli decided to take his engagement a step further by initiating a community mural project in one of Unity's most diverse neighborhoods. He invited artists and non-artists alike to contribute, making it a collective endeavor. The mural would depict scenes from both human and Promethean histories, alongside visions of a possible future together. The process was sometimes contentious, with disagreements over which symbols to include or how to represent different aspects of each culture. However, under Eli's guidance, the participants learned to find compromise and common ground, reflecting the larger process happening throughout Unity. As the mural neared completion, it stood as a vibrant testament to the community's collective creativity and willingness to engage with one another's differences. The unveiling was a celebration attended by hundreds, including those who had initially criticized his work. Seeing the community come together to appreciate the mural, Eli felt a profound sense of accomplishment. His art had not only challenged societal norms but had become a thread in the fabric of Unity's evolving culture, helping to weave a tapestry of shared understanding and respect. Through his experiences, Eli came to see that art in Unity was much more than aesthetic expression, it was a crucial tool for mediation and transformation. It could provoke, yes, but more importantly, it could unite. And in this new world, where the fate of two races hung in the balance, Unity was the most precious artwork of all. Chapter 8, The Crucible of Harmony. In Unity, the ambitious city symbolizing the harmonious future between humans and Prometheans, the leadership faced a dire predicament. The city had thrived under the innovative joint governance of both races, each contributing their unique perspectives and technologies to foster a vibrant, thriving community. However, the latest project to expand livable space through advanced terraforming techniques had unexpected repercussions, leading to an environmental catastrophe that threatened the very fabric of their society. The problem arose when a new terraforming module, designed to increase agricultural yield by altering atmospheric compositions, malfunctioned. Instead of enriching the atmosphere, the module released a series of volatile compounds that began deteriorating the planet's native flora rapidly, causing a chain reaction that could potentially render large areas uninhabitable. The situation was dire, with ecological balance teetering on the brink of collapse. The Council of Unity, consisting of equal parts human and Promethean leaders, convened in an emergency session to address the crisis. The room, usually a place of measured debate and shared decision-making, was tense with the weight of their predicament. On one side, human leaders argued for immediate cessation of all terraforming activities, advocating for more natural restoration projects and less reliance on technology. On the other, Promethean leaders stressed the importance of understanding and repairing the malfunction, believing that abandoning their technological approach would set back their progress. Amidst heated discussions, Elena, a human environmental scientist, and Tvan, a Promethean engineer, presented a joint report detailing the initial findings on the catastrophe. Their report highlighted a critical oversight in the integration of human environmental science with Promethean technological applications. The catastrophe was not just a failure of technology but a failure of collaboration, where crucial checks and balances were overlooked in the pursuit of ambitious outcomes. The revelation served as a sobering reminder of the challenges inherent in integrating deeply different worldviews and methodologies. The leaders, reflecting on the report, realized that the disaster was a profound learning opportunity. They needed to forge a path forward, one that would not only address the immediate environmental issues but also redefine how such projects were conceived and implemented in the future. In the crucible of this crisis, the Council decided to establish a new oversight committee, named the Harmony Commission, composed of experts from both races in technology, environmental science, and ethical governance. The Commission's first task was to investigate the catastrophe thoroughly, implement immediate remedial measures to halt the ecological damage, and develop a new set of protocols for terraforming and other environmental interventions. This approach marked a significant shift in how Unity handled its ambitions and growth. Rather than allowing their alliance to fracture under the strain of the crisis, the leaders chose to strengthen their collaboration, ensuring that both human and Promethean technologies and sciences were not just aligned but deeply integrated. This decision was communicated to the citizens of Unity through a series of town hall meetings, where leaders from both communities explained the changes, answered questions, and reassured the population of their commitment to a sustainable and inclusive future. As the remedial measures began to show signs of success, with the restoration of native flora and stabilization of the affected ecosystems, the people of Unity felt a renewed sense of confidence in their leaders. The crisis had tested the resilience of their society, but it had also catalyzed a deeper understanding and respect for the intricacies of their joint endeavor. Unity emerged from the environmental crisis not weakened, but fortified. The Harmony Commission became a permanent and respected body within the governance structure, symbolizing the ongoing commitment to balance technological progress with ecological and ethical considerations. The leaders of Unity, once tested in the crucible of crisis, now stood as a testament to the potential of their alliance, proving that with shared responsibility and mutual respect, even the greatest challenges could lead to a stronger, more harmonious future. Epilogue: The Legacy of Stars. As the years passed, the city of Unity grew not just in size and technology but also in spirit. Its streets, buildings, and parks were vibrant with the laughter and footsteps of children who embodied the hopes and dreams of this new society. These children, the first generation born of both human and Promethean lineage, reached adulthood under the twin suns of their adopted home. They were unique, carrying within them the combined heritage of their parents, marked by a blending of cultures that was tangible in their features, thoughts, and aspirations. These young adults, known affectionately as the Starborn, were celebrated not just for their uniqueness but for what they represented: the successful integration of two once disparate races. In schools, they had learned of their ancestors' tumultuous history, the wars on Earth, and the subsequent flight through the dimensional portal that led them to this new world. But more importantly, they learned of the peace that followed, the painstaking efforts of their parents to forge a community where once there had been division. Now, as they stood on the threshold of their own futures, these young adults looked up at the stars with a different vision than that of their forebears. Where their ancestors had seen escape routes and battlegrounds, they saw opportunities and invitations to explore. Unity's educational programs had instilled in them not only the knowledge of their past but the tools to build their future. Many pursued careers in science, diplomacy, and the arts, aiming to expand the reach of Unity beyond its current borders. In a special ceremony marking the graduation of the first fully integrated academy class, the city gathered to celebrate this milestone. The event was held in the Great Plaza, under the open sky, where the holographic displays of the galaxy created a backdrop that reminded everyone of their journey through the stars. The graduates, dressed in garments that blended human and Promethean styles, each spoke of their dreams and plans, their words infused with the optimism and determination that had become the hallmark of their generation. One particularly poignant speech came from Alia, a young woman with a human mother and a Promethean father. She spoke eloquently about the legacy of stars, how each star in the sky was a reminder of the light of their own potential. We are not bound by the failures of the past but are propelled by the successes of the present. Each of us carries within us the light of Unity, a light that can guide us in expanding this peace and cooperation to new worlds, she declared. Her words resonated deeply with the assembled crowd, stirring the hearts of both young and old. It was a moment of profound connection, a reaffirmation of the ideals that had founded Unity. The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of a new monument in the center of the plaza, a sculpture depicting intertwined human and Promethean figures, reaching up toward the sky, designed by none other than Eli, the artist whose works had helped define the cultural aesthetic of Unity. As the celebrations wound down, the graduates dispersed, their eyes bright with the reflections of the holographic stars above them. They walked through the streets of their city, past buildings and parks that were once mere ideas in the minds of their parents, now solid and real, filled with the vibrancy of life. Unity, once just a name, now stood as a living testament to the possibility of peace and cooperation, a beacon of hope for what could be achieved when diverse beings chose to come together. These young adults, the Starborn, carried with them not just the legacy of their parents but the future of their civilization. As they prepared to take up their roles in this society, they did so with the awareness that they were not just inhabitants of Unity but its custodians, tasked with nurturing and expanding the peace that had been handed down to them. The stars, once distant and cold, now seemed closer, warmed by the light of their collective potential, a galaxy of opportunities waiting to be explored. Dare to venture into the unknown. Join us on a journey where shadows whisper and secrets lurk. Subscribe now and ring the bell to summon fresh mysteries directly to your screen every few days. Ignore this call, and be warned, an eternal curse awaits those who wander in the dark, unguided. Do you have the courage to face the unknown? Your adventure begins with a click. Welcome to the realm where every notification brings you closer to the abyss. Subscribe, if you dare.